Contreras said, I'm going to be introducing the topic for today. And so the intro questions are obviously you have them on your Google books. The first question is, when was the first American presidential debate? Who participated in it? What role did it play in the election? And how have presidential debates evolved from then until now? So the video that you'll be watching is about 2.5 minutes long, and it basically covers when the debate was, who was involved in it, and it basically answers the first 2 or 3 questions on this slide. So, and it's from PBS. That's the source that comes from, so it is a reliable source, and it also has different like primary sources, people that were actually there that were involved with the debate, and why the results happened the way it did. So, Mr. Contreras, if you could play that video, please.
As he mapped out an ambitious 50-state campaign, he was challenged by his opponent, John F. Kennedy, to a series of televised debates, the first in American history. Even when hospitalized for 2 weeks with a knee injury, Nixon remained confident, anxious for the debates to begin, eager once again to use television to talk directly to the voters.
At the time, there was a feeling that this overall might be a mismatch. Nixon was the candidate who had more prominence, who had been a member of the House, member of the Senate, and the Vice President of the United States. Kennedy, he didn't have a particularly strong reputation in Congress. There was some feeling that he was, to some extent, a playboy, that he wasn't too serious a senator. So I think people felt that Nixon had the edge, and I think Nixon felt that he had the edge.
The candidates need no introduction. The Republican candidate, Vice President Richard M. Nixon, and the Democratic candidate, Senator John F. Kennedy. According to rules set by the candidates themselves, each man...
The Nixon-Kennedy debates would forever change the way Americans chose their presidents. Political rallies and old-fashioned handshaking became much less important than the image on the television screen.
You must understand that Nixon himself had said, I don't want any makeup on for these particular debates. What I tried to explain to Dick was he has a certain characteristics of his skin where it's almost transparent. And it was a very nice thought to say, I don't want any makeup, but that he really needed it in order to have what we would call even an acceptable television picture. And of course, JFK, here he'd been riding in motorcades all over California with the top down. He looked like a bronze warrior when he came into Chicago. He really did.
Mr. Nixon comes out of the Republican Party. He was nominated by it. And it is a fact that through most of these last 25 years, the Republican leadership has opposed federal aid for education, medical care for the aged.
I know what it means to be poor. I know what it means to see people who are unemployed. I know Senator Kennedy feels as deeply about these problems as I do. But our disagreement is not about the goals for America, but only about the means to reach those goals.
The first debate was costly to Nixon. The radio audience thought he had won, but the largest television audience in history had seen the vice president haggard and drawn, and had been given its first sustained look at the Kennedy style.
Kennedy had a great charm for not only the voters but also for the press.
Okay, that's it.
As he mapped out an ambitious 50-state.
Yeah, so for the first question, can anyone answer that question just based off that video that you just saw? Go ahead.
September 26, 1960.
Awesome. And then who were the participants with this debate? Oh. All right, perfect. And then, so what was the main factor of why John F. Kennedy won that debate? Can anyone tell me? Give me any bullet points that you might have gotten off the video? Go ahead. Right, and then something with the makeup, right? Mm-hmm. And then him like sweating and stuff like that. So basically, whoever like the video said, Nixon basically he won the debate technically if you were to just listen to like the audio, radio, but with the new technology, obviously with television. I mean, granted, television had been around for the past like decade, but this was the first time where it was actually used in a political arena, and so Kennedy knew that the main thing was for him wasn't just necessarily how he debated and how he used different facts or knowledge, because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to beat Nixon that way, and that he knew that this new technology and television, people really wanted to see somebody that actually looked the part, and so that's how he won the debate. Even though Nixon was obviously more qualified, he had been vice president, and he had more experience when it came to stuff like that. So we got that. Do you want to move on to the next slide? Yeah. Roll debate. So obviously, I mean, do you guys think that Nixon should have took the advice that his advisors gave about wearing makeup and wearing a different suit? Do you think that would have made a big difference? Yeah, I think so too. And then let's move on to the next slide. Yeah, so I kind of just think about it real quick, guys. How do you think presidential debates have evolved? And just think about like even technology. Can you think of one thing that's changed over time? Like the access to, go ahead. Okay, but what about like maybe today? Like today's debates, like how can you watch them? Yeah, like what kind of technology's out there? Like there, that's what. Yeah, like streaming services, right? Like like worldwide, right? And why do you think that might be a big deal, being able to broadcast worldwide? Go ahead. Right, and then maybe other nations that, like, especially at this time, going back to 1960, what was going on in 1960? Who were we kind of fighting against? Like, especially like going to like maybe space. Like Sputnik was, I don't know if you guys covered Sputnik at that time in 1957, but there was, I think the main thing though coming off of this though is it not only spreads your message like nationwide, like in the States, but worldwide to other leaders in the country, to show that you are kind of like in power, that you are in control, and it sends a loud message that we are the leaders. That's just something that I think that you guys should maybe take a look at. And then of course, people can now criticize the presidents. They actually have the power to be able to voice their opinions through social media. So this is something that I think you guys should think about going forward. And that's it.